So yesterday, the first official trailer for Daredevil came out, and I'm still reeling from it. I thought it was incredible. I'm really, really excited for the show. And part of why I'm excited for it is, like, I'm just a fan. It looks dope as hell. I'm really into it. You know, the violence, the characters that are coming back, the tonal match to what they did on Netflix. But I'm also excited for it as, like, a content creator, right? You know, making content around a show that seems to be something people are really into. It's going to stretch for like 9-10 weeks of content, and we're going to have conversations week to week, mystery, intrigue, a lot of questions. Like, dude, it's dope. You know, the Disney Plus shows have not been great overall. I think particularly the Star Wars ones have really actually hurt that brand, potentially even more than the sequel trilogy did. However, when they're operating the right way, they create an incredible fan experience that lasts weeks and weeks and months. I know a lot of people, you know, didn't love Ahsoka, but for those of us that did, the whole, like, when I was making content for Ahsoka, we had like a couple of incredible months, like record-breaking months, and a lot of people just had a lot of fun, you know, in the streams, reacting, you know, thinking about the leaks and spoilers, all that sort of stuff. So I'm looking forward to that. And the more I looked at the reaction that people were having yesterday about Daredevil, I started to get even more excited. And I've never done this before. Okay, I have never done this before. This will be a first time. But I'm going to make some bold predictions way too early in the game based off of some anecdotal evidence. Okay? I predict that Daredevil Born Again will not only be the biggest Marvel show that they've ever had, and I'm talking from premiere to finale, but I predict that Daredevil Born Again will pull numbers that we have literally never seen on Disney Plus. I'm talking about the show topping the Nielsen charts consistently. And I'm talking about potential viewership that touches some crazy numbers. Like what we've seen with The Boys, what we've seen with The Last of Us, what we've seen with Fallout, what we've seen with House of the Dragon. Those kind of numbers. And there are a couple of different reasons why. I think, number one, Daredevil has a huge catalog on Netflix. And what that kind of translates to is a lot of people know about Daredevil. You know, the Spider-Verse movies, you know, the first Spider-Verse movie didn't even perform all that well in the box office. But the second Spider-Verse movie popped the fuck off. And part of the reason why, you know, people speculate, of course, but part of the reason that people think this happened is because Spider-Verse, the first one, had a long stay on Netflix. And it was like one of the top watched movies for years. Things were a little different back then, where Netflix was just the whole streaming genre, basically. There wasn't really competitors to Netflix. Pretty much everybody you knew had Netflix. It was an absolutely massive amount of people watching these different things. And so you look at some of the shows that popped off back in the day, man, it's crazy. And that Spider-Verse movie was a big part of that. I also would tell you that Clone Wars being on Netflix for as long as it was actually a huge boost and a boon to the Clone Wars numbers that Disney gets when they do the 7th season, and then some of the stuff that they experience after that. Like, you can't deny the effect that had, the Netflix effect, especially back then. Daredevil and all of the Defender shows were absolutely massive, and they've made a really, really big impact. Like, a lot of people that aren't even necessarily hardcore into comic book movie shows or whatever, they know about the Daredevil show. And so I think the show is primed to hit big numbers like that. Another reason that I think this is possible, and the reason that I'm predicting this, is because like Daredevil has all the stuff that a lot of these really big shows have. And what I mean is like, what is the X factor for some of these massive shows that absolutely pop off, right? Well, I think if you look at The Boys, you look at Fallout, you look at Last of Us, you look at House of the Dragon, there's a pretty clear pattern there. It's like super mature, almost irreverent content. There seems to be this big hunger out there from the audience for more mature, edgier content. You know what I mean? Like, I think that is just apparent. Now, they also all lean on big properties. So, like The Last of Us, of course, video game, House of the Dragon, Game of Thrones, Fallout, video game, big series, etc., right? But it does seem that that maturity and that darker stuff, there's a huge appetite for it out there. Daredevil has that, and it seemingly has that in spades. I mean, it looks, just from what we saw in the trailer, the first trailer, it looks to be as dark, if not darker, than everything we got on the Netflix show. Particularly when you look at some of the stuff that's going on with the Muse character. Yeah, man, it really does seem like it's going to get super bloody, super violent. I've seen a lot of people talking about what a bold choice it is to use the Charles Soule stuff, that comic book run, for the actual contents of a Disney Plus show. We kind of knew Marvel was going in this direction. You know, you look at what they did with Echo, what they did with Deadpool and Wolverine. You know, that's what's going on there. But the Daredevil show itself, I think, really, really, really strong. It's going to be super, super violent. You know, at least that's what I think. So I actually think we're going to see something pretty crazy with Daredevil, and it's going to break into numbers that we just have not seen before for a lot of the reasons I just mentioned. On top of that, the quality looks really good. Now, granted, it's just a trailer, but the buzz on the show is really good internally. And of course, Marvel Studios went through kind of an unprecedented retooling of this show, bringing in the Punisher showrunner, bringing in Benson and Aaron Moorhead, and really just going back to the roots of what was done on Netflix. So the quality's there. I think the maturity and the darkness is there. And again, it just seems like that's what people are craving right now. And I think it also has huge name recognition. You know, Marvel is still big. And I think the story of Marvel over the past couple of years has been like, they have a portion of their audience that's lying in wait, and their own audience is being more selective with the stuff they engage with. So that's why, like, in a year where you begin the year with a bomb in Quantumania and you end the year in the worst bomb in the history of Hollywood with the Marvels, in the middle of that, you still have almost $1 billion grossing movie, and Guardians 3 underperforms in its first weekend. This indicates that same lying in wait audience. And as the word of mouth was out there and it was positive, people went out to see Guardians 3, all the way taking it to like $850 million worldwide box office, which is crazy. So Marvel has this massive audience. I just think a lot of the content is hit or miss. And I think the audience is getting wised up to that. So you put all of those factors together, and I think that Daredevil Born Again is poised to pop the fuck off. But here's the thing. Here's the other thing. If this happens, like if this actually gets bigger than The Boys, or like if we see a headline from Disney that says something like 30 million views on like the first week or whatever, like that, that would be absolutely shocking, right? Like that's fucking massive, right? Like that would be insane. But if I am correct, and if we hit those numbers, imagine what a signal boost that would be to Marvel Studios that this is the direction that things should go in. We're about to enter an era of, you know, we're doing the Secret War stuff, and that's going to be crazy, but we're going into the mutants. And as I was thinking about this, and I was thinking about Daredevil, right? I was like, okay, so if this thing pops off the way I think it could, Marvel's going to be like, oh shit, that's what they want. We're going to do this. That's going to lead to this Punisher show, you know, being very close to this, kind of a theme. But imagine what kind of influence that level of success would have on the new mutant plans. So, I sort of brought this up yesterday, right? Because, we're thinking about the Nova show. We're thinking about the Champion show. We're thinking about the Punisher show. Those are like the next suite of shows. And we've heard longstanding rumors that they want to do stuff with mutants and X-Men as well. So as we get into this next, several years or whatever, maybe we get a Weapon X show. Maybe we get X-Force, Exiles, all sorts of stuff, okay? The point is, if Daredevil pops off and it's the biggest Disney Plus thing they've ever done, that can give us versions of all of these future shows, including the Mutant and X-Men shows, that would be darker, more mature, and given the same level of care that Daredevil Born Again received. So I know I'm a fanboy dreaming a little bit here. Like, I totally acknowledge that. But also, if this happens and it is that successful, it ushers in a whole new era for Marvel. It gives them the signal boost needed to make these decisions, to double down on this stuff. I want like a Phantom X show, or like there's a great X-Force book. I think it was called Sex, Blood, and Violence or something like that. It's like Domino, Wolverine, and it's like Marvel Max with, it's super like crazy, like violence, sex, all kinds of crazy stuff. I would like content like that for Marvel. I think, of course, Marvel can still exist in its, Disney family-friendly Avengers type stuff, but it's obvious there's a big craving out there, a large, unsatiated hunger for that mature comic book genre content. So, bro, this is like a W that could potentially just keep giving us W's. And so, again, I know it's a bold prediction, but I'm predicting this show will do world-breaking numbers, stuff that we've never seen on Disney Plus before. And because of that, it will usher in a new era of taking this stuff more seriously, of being more mature. And if that doesn't happen, I'll cry. But I think it will happen. So I'm excited for it. Let me know what you think about this.